Hi, this is Ms Bagley. We're starting our next project, which is going to be a repousse relief. And you can see the little example on here and the correct pronunciation. For your project, we need to understand the terms, first of all. And I'm going to go over part of the PowerPoint here. You will have access to the PowerPoint to do everything on your own later. But the chapters are the vocabulary, types of 3D sculptures. We have some samples, tools and processes, an antiquing option, what are the requirements for the project, resources, an advanced project, and extra information. So starting with the vocabulary, you need to set up 2 sketchbook pages. Please make sure you put the title, name, date, and period on top, and you're going to copy down all of this vocabulary. The second page, you're going to be using your elements and principles. As you go through the PowerPoint on your own, you will fill those out. Okay, Chapter 2, some types of 3D sculptures. We have freestanding, high relief, low relief, and the technique of repousse. Understanding sculptures, freestanding sculptures. You can see these statues stand freely on their own. And the sculptures in the round. You can look at them from many angles. This type of sculpture is a high relief sculpture. It's very 3D on the surface, but it projects from the background, meaning it's attached to the background. You see how the little kids here, the cherubs, are coming out of the background, the same with the people there, and the same with the people here. So they're very 3D. It's almost like you could grab them and pull them off, but they are stuck. Another type of relief is a bas relief, or low relief. It is a shallow 3D surface that projects from the background. So you'll notice that the artist took a flat painting here and converted it to a relief. This sculpture has both low relief in the background like a coin and high relief in the foreground. Repousse is a French term for a bas relief or low relief like a coin. Repousse is defined as when you press metal from the back side. This will make the metal stick out or become more 3D from the front. The Statue of Liberty is an example of repousse. So the fact that this M in Mila sticks out is because I pressed it from the back. Okay. Repousse is also referred to as metal embossing or tooling. It is the art of using tools to create designs on a soft metal sheet. Gauge refers to the thickness of the metal or wire. We are using heavy gauge aluminum foil, which simply means that it's thick foil. The metal foil comes in an assortment of colors, including copper and brass, as well as a variety of gauges. And this little chart shows you how gauges are. It's a standardized size to describe the diameter of wire or thickness of sheet metal. The aluminum foil that you have at home is very thin and would have a very high gauge. So you see the number, like for thin, is very high. The heavy gauge art foil is thicker and harder to manipulate, but because it's thicker, it keeps its form better. So when you think of this, you can think of a piece of metal that's been flattened 10 times, and then you flatten it 12, then 14, then 16, and 18. And every time you flatten it a little more, it gets thinner. So that's why the higher number is thinner. Here are some sample projects with scoring so you get an idea. These are A pluses. You can see how neat they are. You can see that the forms are totally 3D on here. The background is pressed down. The frame sticks out 3D. So we want the frame and the subject to stand out, and we want the negative space to press down. These are A minuses. So they followed all the rules. They're just not as outstanding as the first ones. This one could have been an A if the person had just spent more time making it 3D. And these ones, all the steps were attempted. They're just a little crooked in some areas. And these all have steps missing. And we want to look at our tools and the overall process. We are going to practice before I make you try to do the project. If you get stuck at home for several days, you can actually do this whole project at home. So the tools we're going to use in the classroom are these tools right here. This is a stylus, and there are other embossing tools. We'll have aluminum foil. We'll have pieces of cardboard to help you get the square shapes and square corners. You will need tape, scissors. This is a piece of felt, so you have a soft surface to stretch the metal on. If you're home, you can use the end of a ruler. You can use a pencil instead of the stylus, and you can use a pencil eraser instead of that embossing tool. We're using felt pads. You can just create something soft to work on yourself. So start to finish, we make some templates, copy those designs, trace them onto the foil, then start pressing from the back to make the 3D designs, and then you can see the little edge here that's been folded back for a finished product. So in detail, start with a template, which is a form or pattern used as a guide. You will need to put a frame around your design and extra foil to wrap around the cardboard. So there's a little extra foil there. Transfer your image, or if you're doing words for a special project, tape your design to the piece of metal foil. Trace your design using a dull pencil or stylus. A stylus is a pencil-like tool used for tooling and embossing to create gentle grooves in the metal. This will transfer your design from the paper to the metal. So we have trace, drawing over pre-existing lines, transfer, a design that's moved from one surface to another. Hint, do not put the tape under an important part of the design. It will be difficult to trace. So you wouldn't want to stick tape right under the face part there. Okay, remove your template, retrace your lines on a soft surface. Save your design, tape it into your sketchbook, retrace your lines, which means chasing, with a dull pencil or stylus. Keep in mind the metal needs to stretch, so you need a soft surface like felt. You can use layers of newspaper or your sketchbook if you're at home. Hard surfaces won't work because if you're on a hard surface, the metal can't stretch. Chasing is defined as pushing down while retracing your lines from the front. Hint, do not press hard. It is better to trace lines gently 3 times rather than to press hard and overstretch the metal. Once you stretch the metal, you cannot unstretch it, and it very often tears. Now, repousse. Remember, repousse is when you press the metal from the back. This will make the metal stick out in the front. The front will appear convex, sticking out. The back will appear concave. So we have convex, a surface that curves out, concave, a surface that caves in. And how are you going to do this? You're going to flip your project so that you see the back. Pick the areas that you want to stand out, your subject or main design, as well as the frame, and press the metal toward the front. Repousse, then chase. Flip your project back and forth to work from both sides. Do this 1,000,000 times. Obviously exaggerating, but it'll feel like that. Remember, when you're working on the back, it's repousse and you're stretching your metal on a soft surface. When you're working on the front, you chase your lines to bring them back to the neutral plane. The neutral plane is the original flat areas between the convex and concave forms. So when you start to work with it, you'll feel the difference where it slides into shape because it gets a little bit warped when you're doing the repousse. Antiquing is an option you have for finishing if you'd like. On this slide, it talks about the negative space in the background. You can use dots and dashes to fill things in. You do that from the front. The negative space is from the front. Okay, finishing from the front, chase, which is retrace your lines. Use the tabletop and bring the lines back to neutral. And here's the antiquing. So you can take some acrylic paint and gently apply the paint on and then gently wipe it off so that you just leave the paint in the grooves. So it's not painting the whole surface, you're just trying to catch some paint where you press deep lines. If you're making a box, you're going to have to India ink the box so that it's black and will match the antiquing on the surface. And if you're creating one of these boxes, I can help you with how to wrap the cardboard around that. Okay, project requirements and rubric. Okay, we are doing a Renaissance sun project from the video. However, you'll be adding a frame to your design. Advanced classes have another idea. Present your project proposal to Ms. B when I check out your sketchbook. Submission, turn your project in on time. This project can be completed at home if you fall behind. Here's the rubric. Obviously, identification. We want balance and unity. The composition is balanced and has a frame. The 3D forms appear balanced in all areas, top, bottom, left, and right. The quality is consistent and good throughout. 3D forms in contrast. It is a true relief and very convex 3D forms that create the subject and frame. The texture negative space should be neutral. For contrast, the subject should be smooth. So the subject smooth, the background is textured, the negative space. Lines in negative space. Chase lines are smooth and accurate. Negative space is filled with carefully planned designs on the neutral plane. The subject is accurate and shows nuances and details. Submission, on time. The project must be completed at home if you fall behind. So right here we have our A group, develops complex solutions to visual problems. And that's the same rubric as always. You can read about it. Practice, are you ready to create a masterpiece? Probably not. We will create a graded a graded practice piece together. Make sure that you attend class and follow along after you do your practice assignment. Then you can judge your skill level and what type of design is best for you. We have some resources, some video links here. I also have the options for doing the box and the steps for creating that. Okay, so good luck and we'll get started with that.